All right. Check, check. How y'all doing? Good to see you. Well, welcome to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. We're live on YouTube, Rockfin, Callin, and on Twitter. And thanks for jumping in the chats. Got some folks on YouTube. Got some people on Rockfin. Got some people on Twitter. Okay. I feel like my sound is going up and down. Does it sound like that to you guys? Does the sound soundy? How soundy is the sound? Forcing Climate Info says nice bad winter. Okay. Michael Mann and Leah Stokes have a YouTube on climate change. Okay. Sounds okay. All right, cool. All right, people coming in. That's really good. Good to see you. And let's get into it. It's really hot in Africa. And it's unseasonably warm here. Who, the anomalies, the temperature anomalies that people are experiencing in the winter, just from around the U.S., people telling me are kind of way off the charts, like way warmer than it's supposed to be. Anyways, in Africa, the heat across the continent is unbelievable. Vielsdrief in South Africa hit 46.5. Vielsdrief. With other places hitting 45 C plus. We are pushing the limits of human survivability once again in many places. The scorch trials continue. Sure. It's hot. 45 degrees is hot. There's a pretty strong storm coming in this weekend in California. It's gonna bring us a lot of snow. National Weather Service is forecasting 114 inches, almost 10 feet of snow, to fall in just 48 hours near Donner Pass this Thursday and Saturday. 10 feet of snow to fall in 48 hours. Easily the most extreme blizzard forecast I've ever seen in California, up to 160 inches of snow could fall on the highest peaks through Sunday, with gusts over 150 miles per hour possible. Now my sound is back. Unfathomable amounts of snow and wind, not a storm you want to mess with. Man, that is a lot of snow. The the skiers are happy. Deline says 72 degrees yesterday and 51 today, East Coast. Forcing climate info. What's your deal? I feel like I feel like I don't know. What? I don't know. I'm just joshing. Just joshing. Anyways, that's all. That is a ton of snow. Somebody says late January 2021 was about the same forecast for the Sierras. 8 feet fell on us. Over 10 feet a few miles up the mountain near Bear Valley around Tamarack. Oops. Anyways, we're going to get some rain too, I believe. I think it's not really going to hit Southern California too hard, but, never say never. God sound? I think you meant good sound. On Rockfin, Osama says God sound. I like God sound. Yeah, Denver, I think you have a good guess there. Well, I've seen Forcing Climate info on the Rockfin too. So I think we're on to something here. I don't know. You mean Kameshwari Kate? I think Kate was here. I don't know. Kate has been around. I think Kate left me some coffees. I think that was her. Does that mean I'm hearing voices? No, I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. I thought this post. People are real skeptical. People are real skeptical. About the weather. And they think it's all somebody's making it. And maybe. Maybe I had to really take a bunch of sips of coffee there. I need to really get going. Anyways, Anomaly. You guys know who Anomaly is, or maybe you don't. He's all right. He's kind of, you know. Anyways, he says California admits to cloud seeding to make it rain more, and then the LA Times calls it an unfounded conspiracy theory. And, I'm not super interested in just slapping conspiracy theory on everything. Can they manipulate the weather? Of course. They did it during Vietnam. They could do it like, how long ago was that? It was a long time ago. I don't understand. I don't really get but that's something you do. Uh, they seeded, they did cloud seeding in Vietnam. Um, to make it difficult for the people they were fighting, right? For the Viet Cong, I guess they were called. Somebody dropped in the chats the other day. Somebody did do that. Um, um, hold on one second. Hold on one second, guys. Okay, we're back. Um, I was looking up Operation. Was it Popeye? Operation Popeye on Wikipedia was a military cloud seeding project. Carried out by the U.S. Air Force during the Vietnam War, 1967 and 1972. I think it went on a little longer than that. That's funny. Weren't we in Vietnam like during the Kennedy administration? Don't you find that a little funny? Anyways, Vietnam was much. I mean, and the official end. They said it ended in 1972. Weren't they still there? Wasn't it like 73, 74 that people were getting out of there? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, the highly classified program attempted to extend the monsoon season over specific areas of the Ho Chi Minh Trail in order to disrupt North Vietnamese military supplies by softening road surfaces and causing landslides. The former U.S. Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, was aware there might be objections raised by the international scientific community, but said in a memo to the president that such objections had not in the past been a basis for prevention of military activities considered to be in the interest of U.S. national security. The Chemical Weather Modification Program was conducted from Thailand over Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, and allegedly sponsored by the Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger. Henry. Hold on one second. The Chemical Weather Modification Program was conducted from Thailand over Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. I read that. And the CIA, it was conducted, sponsored by Henry Kissinger and the CIA, without the authorization of then Secretary of Defense Melvin Laird. Laird. Who had categorically denied to Congress that the program for modification of the weather for use as a tactical weapon even existed. That's funny. A report titled Rainmaking in Xia No, Siasia, Southeast Asia. They made it one word, this acronym. Siasia outlines use of lead iodide and silver iodide deployed by aircraft in a program that was developed in California at Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake and tested in Okinawa, Guam, the Philippines, Texas, and Florida in a hurricane study called Project Storm Fury. Anyways, the goal of the operation was to extend days of rainfall by about 30 to 45 days each monsoon season. So it was, it was definitely a thing. It wasn't a. This is not a conspiracy theory or not made up. And I guess it was successful, right? Smoke Curtain, 1940. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that many years later, I'm sure they can do so many things. So many things. Um, yeah. So it's not a conspiracy theory that they can manipulate the weather. However, the world is getting warmer. And I don't know why you would want to, that's something that you use on an enemy combatant, right? That's something they used during a war to, and I guess people might say, well, golly gee willikers, what do you think they think of us? I don't know who you're talking to, Force and Climate Info. You seem to be making a point. I'm not really sure what it is. um, anyways, so to go back to this post by Anomaly. We're still here. Okay. Um, yeah. Yeah, Denver. Yeah. For sure. For sure. Um, where is this post from Anomaly? Well, so they did actually have a so here is an actual headline. It's, Southern California officials test cloud seeding in effort to increase the region's water supply. The 4-year pilot program launched in November with an aim to increase precipitation by 5% to 15%. Okay. Some percents. Well, I don't know. Do you think that we're getting, I mean, I feel like we're getting a lot more than 5 to 15% if that's was their goal, their aim, right? Do you guys think that they're like that's all they're really trying to? I mean, maybe. um it just doesn't seem like a lot of, we're getting like bombs of rain. Could it be in there? Could it be part of the equation? I think so. I think so. Why not? Extra Bull, what's up? Deline Parole says, he who controls the weather controls the world. Um, so there are a few things going on, I think. And, there could be several things going on at the same time, right? There could be there could be there could be weather modification, cloud seeding, whatever. And there could be climate change. Like both those things could exist at the same time. So I think it's a little weird to just chalk it up to, they're making the weather. They're making it weather. They're making it weather. How's that? Do you like that? They're making it weather. Mm-hmm. They're making it weather. Whether you want to or not. Um, so, anyways, I saw a comment in the thread, and I thought the comment was really great. This is the crux of what I was trying to say. When are we going to talk about something? We're talking about something right now. The crux of what I'm trying to say is somebody left a comment and said the problem in this particular case. So he's kind of putting the idea out that like all these rainstorms and all these atmospheric rivers are all, created or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the point of making it rain, so hard on people that infrastructure is destroyed. People get like massive. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the planes are funded by the ski resorts. There's a lot of money in skiing. Everybody wants to ski. Everybody loves skiing. It's big money to be made. You know what I'm saying? I mean, maybe. But the comment I'm trying to say, the problem in this particular case is one could watch these systems that have been dropping rain on California developing several days ago out in the Pacific, just like last year, right? We know what an atmospheric river is. We know, that they form way out, that it's been around for a long time, right? The Pineapple Express use atmospheric rivers. They bring a lot of rain. There's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. And then we get the big dumps of snow and rain. So anyways, we've been seeing these storms form in the Pacific, except this time the temps didn't make the precipitation snow. I've no doubt that there's a way to seed clouds, this commenter said. But they wouldn't have had to and prefer to get floods. These storms already contain a lot of moisture. I said cloud seeding involves getting water out of clouds that may not drop a lot of water, right? Enhancing weather systems that are already there. And emergency level snow and water aren't good for anybody. I don't think anybody wants emergency level snow and water. Snow and rain. Not to the point where, roads are closed for, last year there was so much snow in California that like roads were closed, indefinitely. We were going to go on a camping trip in July last summer. And the road to the campground was closed from snow that happened like 3 or 4 months prior because there was that much snow. Like Chad Miano says, don't forget what's happening has been predicted for many years. Most weren't paying attention. I don't know. I mean, I think it's hard to parse exactly what's happening. I mean, I think there's absolutely I do think there's absolutely, weather modification and or they're already doing solar radiation management. I do think that is absolutely happening. I do think so. But I think climate change is also happening too. So I think it's hard to parse which is which, right? It's hard to know, kids. All right. Alrighty. Did I make was the point? I actually suspect that there might be some weather creation. I don't know. Chad Miano, that's a really good point. Modification is much different from weather creation. You're right. Deline Parole says if you can pay enough money to make it not rain on your daughter's wedding day, then it's happening. Yeah, no, I suspect that there might be ways to do it. I just don't know. Well, I think there are several things happening, right? There's climate change happening. What if there are attempts at weather modification to control the effects of climate change? Like, the assumption is that they're making it worse by weather modification. So my whatever it is I see that they're doing in the skies as far as contrails go, people think that that's part of like making the weather or making something happen. Whereas I think that they're already trying to mitigate the effects of global warming. Right. Osama, exactly. Or hide the effects of climate change. Exactly. So what if it's the other, do people ever consider that it's in the opposite direction? They rarely do. I think that they're already doing solar radiation management. That's what all the contrails are for. It's not to create something. It's to mitigate the warming that's already happening. It's to kind of keep things, level, right? Because the other day, right, Osama, so people keep buying stuff. Right. Chad Miano, it requires enormous amounts of energy to create weather, or that much water, right? That's the thing. So cloud seeding involves releasing moisture that's already there, right? Or releasing a little bit. And when they say 5 to 15% more water, they really mean 5 to 15%, right? Because they're trying to squeeze some extra water out of clouds and systems that are already there. That's what cloud seeding is. It's not creating, it's not like making all this water, to have an atmospheric river, you have to have enormous amounts of moisture already in the air, right? The water has to be in the system. The trillions of gallons of water that fall on the ground have to be in the storm, right? So I don't know how you create that without, because you have to have the storm system, you have to have the energy that pushes the storm, you have to have the moisture in the atmosphere, you have to have all these components together to make an atmospheric river happen, or 10 feet of snow in 48 hours happen. You have to have this, the stuff has to be there. Okay, Deline, I'll check that out. Michio Kaku. I'll check it out. I will. I will. We're going to get to another subject in a minute. I know it's already been. I mean, Michio Kaku is he talks about climate change quite a bit, doesn't he? Should I go? Is it on YouTube, Deline? Hold on. Hold on. I'm trying to find it. Laser weather modification. Here it is. I found it. Got it. So anyways, I don't see people talking about it in the sense.
And now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion, though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far, it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around.
He said it's been tested in a laboratory that already works.
the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo jumbo. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So what does it mean for drought areas that need to have rain for crops? And if they don't have them, there's the consequences of famine.
Well, the bad news is if it's a clear blue sky, it's not going to do anything at all, because it only takes water vapor that's already in the air and
which is what I just said. Water vapor that's already in the air. So how do you anyway?
Condenses it. However, for floods, for agriculture, farmers, for people planning wedding parties, football games, you name it, outdoor events and agriculture and flooding and even hurricanes, all of them could be subject to weather modification.
Incredibly interesting, Professor Michio Kaku. Thank you.
In the United States, copyright law.
Well, that is interesting, isn't it? Okay. Sure. There you go. And it's already been. That was, how long ago was that video? Probably, that was probably like 20 years old. Yeah. The thing though, the key thing that he said was the thing I just said, where you have to have the water, you could maybe stop a flood, or, right, they can keep hail from forming. We know that. I think you need all that water vapor in the air in order to make an atmospheric river happen, or 10 feet of snow. I don't know. Those are just my thoughts on it. Okay. Obsolete Optics sent me this, and this is pretty wild. Aaron Bushnell. Oh, hold on one second. ARAM dropped something in the... Real quick before we get to this. ARAM dropped this in the Rockfin chat. We're going to get to the Aaron Bushnell thing. But we talked about the Texas wildfires. A nuclear weapons factory forced to evacuate. Oh no. As Texas wildfires threaten plant. I didn't know they were making nuclear weapons down in the Texas Panhandle. Pantex, the Pantex plant, the main facility that assembles and disassembles America's nuclear arsenal. Holy crap. Shut down its operations on Tuesday night. As the Windy Deuce fire roared towards the Potter County location. We have evacuated our personnel. Can you get out of here? We've evacuated our personnel, non-essential personnel, from the site just in an abundance of caution. Leif Pendergraft, a spokesperson for National Nuclear Security Administration's production office at Pantex, said during a news conference on Tuesday night. But we do have a well-equipped fire department that is trained for these scenarios, that is on site and watching and ready should any kind of a real emergency arise on the plant site. All right. Pantex has reopened. and resumed operations as normal on Wednesday morning. It's 17 miles northeast of Amarillo. Since 1975, it's been the U.S.'s main assembly and disassembly site for its atomic bombs. It assembled the last new bomb in 1991. Does that mean they're disassembling bombs? Anyways, massive wildfires going on. Deline Parole says, Kevin, what is coming out of this nuclear plant cooling towers? Steam, moisture. Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I know what you're laying down. I know what you're laying down. I hear you. Where are we now? Let's see. All right. So, thanks for dropping that, Aaron. Yeah, those famous winter Texas wildfires, yes. Although it's unseasonably warm. And a lot of places have not gotten all the rain. We're getting all the rain right now. Anyways. So Aaron Bushnell, the man who self-immolated on, was it Sunday? I hate this thing. Adam Schiff, I need you to go away. Okay. His actual job involved the processing of intelligence data. Some of what he was processing had to do with the Israeli-Gaza conflict. This is from the New York Post. One of the things he told me is that coming across his desk, was the U.S. military was involved in the genocides going on in Palestine, the friend said, referring to Israel's war against the Palestinian terror group Hamas. I love that people are just saying, are just calling it what it is, which is, people are feeling real free with the genocide word because that's what it is. Let's not be confused about that. Anybody watching on Twitter? People? Twitter be so elusive. I think somebody's watching on Twitter. Okay. So one of the things he told me that came across his desk was the U.S. military was involved in the genocides. He told me we had troops on the ground, that they were there and were killing large numbers of Palestinians. So this is a pretty it's a pretty heavy statement here. It's a pretty heavy statement. There's just too many things I don't know, but I can tell you the tone of his voice just had something in it that told me he was scared. I've never heard that tone come out of him. Although Bushnell claimed he was imparting top secret information to his pal, there was no way of verifying whether it's true. He said that there were U.S. troops in the tunnels fighting Hamas. That was the intelligence he was getting. Denver says we are involved in doing the opposite of saving civilian lives. Yeah, it seems that Aaron Bushnell had information about that. The White House has repeatedly said it will not put U.S. troops on the ground in Gaza. And President Biden has said he hopes to negotiate a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas this week. U.S. Special Operations Forces have been deployed in Israel since Hamas's October 7th attack, according to the New York Times, to identify. So the U.S. Special Operations Forces are in Israel. So according to the New York Times, they are in Israel, right? So Gregory says the poor guy stated the USA was bombing Gaza. Well, he was in the Air Force. He would know. So they are there. U.S. Special Operations Forces have been deployed in Israel since the attack. Special forces to identify hostages, including American hostages, after more than 200 were taken by the group during its raid. Special forces have also been on. Did we hear anything about 200 U.S. hostages? Did you all hear anything about that? Did I miss? I mean, I'm just asking. Did I miss it? Or if there's 200 U.S. hostages, don't you think that'd be blaring out of the, every single day headlines, U.S. hostages? Or are they just saying this? Special forces have also been on hand to assist with strategy for Israeli troops in Gaza, who are flushing out Hamas members from the network of tunnels under the territory, but the report noted troops are not assigned any combatant roles. Air Force confirmed Bushnell's title was Innovation Services Technician, but has not specified what security clearance he had. It did not immediately return a request for comment from the Post Tuesday. The friend, who noted that he does not support Hamas in any way, shape, or form, said he was surprised as Bushnell never previously violated his military clearance. He's had a security clearance for 4 years now, and it is the only time he has ever, as far as I know, broke protocol and gave out information that he shouldn't have. The pal said of their conversation, he was frightened. The friend said of Bushnell, who grew up in a controversial religious compound in a tiny seaside town in Massachusetts, but ended up fatally lighting himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. on Sunday, screaming, "Free Palestine." In the minutes before setting himself alight, Bushnell had live-streamed a short video address in which he said he would no longer be complicit in genocide. In his Facebook post, Bushnell also wrote, "Many of us like to ask ourselves, what would I do if my country were committing genocide? The answer is you're doing it right now." Unconfirmed posts on Reddit linked to an account that appeared to belong to Bushnell included rants against Israel. Anyways. So that is pretty, that's pretty incendiary information. I did not mean that as a pun. I mean, I wouldn't, when that whenever there are special forces, U.S. Special Operation Forces around, that fuckery is afoot. You know that, right? It's always like, well, they're just there to, train the local gendarmes or whatever. They train the local military guys, train the local people, to help and assist and give in. They always use these words, right? The U.S. Special Operations people. They're just there to, oversee, helping people out, right? That they just say that, and that they're there doing the absolute worst. That's what they're actually doing. Always, 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 always. Or they're there as a cover for other, for SEAL teams and other kind of forces to do something, underhanded, if you will. Anyways. It's really horrific that has to come for that. Oh, thanks. Fresh air. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Just there to help out. Just there to help people. I forgot something here. This is actually... always forget to cover the story that is part of the thumbnail. Don't know why I do that. Don't know why I do that. This is predictable but still extremely distressing from Steve Austin, Bionic Man. We're going to hang on to cars until the bitter end and then be left with nothing. From The Guardian, U.S. spends billions on roads rather than public transport and climate time bomb. Well, duh. New analysis finds money from Biden's $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill has overwhelmingly been spent on widening highways for cars. Duh. Hold on. Roads, and more roads. U.S. is continuing, and this kind of goes hand in hand with what I said about the best thing we could possibly do for the planet is stop building. Right? Stop. These infrastructure bills, people see them, they're touted as like, well, we need this infrastructure. The infrastructure is falling apart. This will bring jobs and make the U.S. a better place. It's just, on the surface, it seems all very helpful and positive. That's good. Denver Attaway, whenever I hear Joe Biden or Lloyd Austin speak, all I hear is sounds of toilets flushing. Really expensive toilets. Which actually... remember the story? Remember it was years ago, right? The story about the military spending, $5,000 on a toilet or whatever it is. When the toilets cost like $100 at Home Depot, maybe $200 if you're getting a good one, right? But the military routinely spends, what I don't know if $5,000 is the right. It's something like that, something astronomical, right? I'm just making the same point I made before, which is everything is a money laundering scam. Everything is, the military industrial complex, the entirety of it is a money laundering operation. All of it, right? Because it's like, this toilet doesn't cost $5,000, right? The toilet costs $100. Where's the other, $4,900 going? Well, somebody's skimming, all kinds of people are skimming all that money off of that. contractors, everything, development contracts, building contracts, not just military, right? Highway contracts, all these things are money laundering operations, every single one of them, because it doesn't cost billions of dollars to build, a road or a stadium. It probably costs, $500 million or, some millions. It doesn't cost, $18 billion, $5 billion for a stadium. No, it doesn't cost that much to build that stadium. Hell no. Hell no. It is all a money siphoning scam. All of it. Everything. But anyways, but beyond the scam of it, which is why it's really hard to stop that stuff. Right? When I say the best thing we could do for the planet is just stop. Just stop building, stop development, stop adding to roads, stop fixing, just stop everything. Stop fixing the roads, stop building, fixing, doing. I mean, fixing is better than building, but just stop all the construction. But it's hard to stop that because all of it is a scam. All of it is a scam. You get these, huge development deals that are $5 billion to build this, complex over blah, 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 blah. It doesn't cost $5 billion, but it costs maybe $1 billion or less. And somewhere the $4 billion is going to somebody's pocket somewhere. Always, all the time, every time. So also the best way to stop corruption would be to stop all the construction and the military spending and all that, all of it. Anyways, the U.S. is continuing to spend billions of dollars on expanding enormous highways rather than fund public transport, with a landmark infrastructure bill lauded by Joe Biden, only further accelerating the dominance of cars at the expense, critics say, of communities and the climate. Since the passage of the enormous $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure law in 2021, hailed by Biden as the generational effort to upgrade the U.S.'s crumbling bridges, roads, ports, and public transit, money has overwhelmingly poured into the maintenance of widening of roads rather than improving threadbare networks of bus, rail, and cycling options available to Americans. A new analysis has found. Well, of course, all that money is going into the building of roads. Of reported funds dispersed to states, more than half, around $70 billion, have been spent on resurfacing and expansion of highways. You know that it doesn't take $70 billion to resurface a highway or several highways. Even if you resurfaced, a good portion of the highways in the U.S., it would not take $70 billion. Not at all. No way, no how. It takes, a couple of million. Anyways. Just a fifth of the money has gone so far to public transit, with much. Oh, anyways, the process of expanding the highways the researchers have consistently found only spurs greater use of cars and therefore more congestion. Well, no, duh. Just a fifth of the money has gone so far to public transit, with much of the remainder also facilitating more car driving, such as the refurbishment of bridges. Also, giving tax breaks and incentives to people buying more cars. Well, we need these roads because we're gonna have billions of electric cars, electric vehicles by 2035, and of course, these electric vehicles need roads. The spending is a climate time bomb, according to the new Transportation for America analysis, which calculates that more than 178 million tons of greenhouse gases will be emitted due to planned highway expansions by 2040. Yeah. Only slightly offset by emissions-reducing measures that also stem from the bill. Slightly offset. So this whole bill, this infrastructure bill, There's also giveaways to oil companies, and this infrastructure bill is a frickin' scam, and is pretty much the only thing that the Biden administration can even say that it's done. And it's, other than give away billions of dollars to Ukraine and Israel. That's literally all it's done, is just pass this stupid infrastructure bill that is supposed to be all about the climate, but has nothing to do with the climate. And I'm sure is just a big money laundering scheme, right? It's $1 trillion bill. $1 trillion. Do you know how much $1 trillion is? $1 trillion is a crap ton of money. Absolutely, somebody, the greasy palms are getting the majority of that $1 trillion. Because it only costs whatever they're, say they're spending the money on, only really costs what, $500 million, maybe $1 billion, maybe a couple billion for all of it. But this is a $1 trillion bill, right? That's so many billions of dollars. Where are those billions going? It doesn't cost that much money. It absolutely, no way, no how it costs that much money. So somebody is getting all this trillions of dollars, right? The people that are skimming off the top, taking the $4,900 off the top of the $5,000 commode that cost $100. Nothing is fundamentally changing in terms of modes of transport. This much money going into highway expansions is, for one, a liability into the future, and two, it just doesn't work. We've been expanding highways for decades on decades, and everyone consistently finds themselves stuck in traffic. Really? You don't say. Funding from the federal government has been given to states with broad flexibility on how to use it, and state authorities, by and large, have chosen to persist with car-centric infrastructure. The Biden administration's Department of Transportation did advise states to prioritize road repair rather than expansion, and to bear in mind communities, usually of color, have been severed by highways and are subjected to the resulting air pollution. However, this stance prompted backlash from Republicans in Congress and been mostly overlooked by states such as Texas and even California, considered a progressive bastion of climate policy, that have pushed ahead plans to add more and more lanes to highways. Of course, so much of the decision-making falls to state departments of transportation, said Mary Buchanan, research and policy manager at Transit Center, a foundation that aims to improve public transit in the U.S. There are essentially 50 opportunities to get this right, I guess, or to potentially get it wrong in terms of how money is spent. The result is that the U.S. will generate more emissions from transport, already its largest source of planet heating gases, as a result of the infrastructure bill than if it hadn't passed. So it would have been better if they didn't pass it at all. That made my point for me. They just made my point for me. If you just didn't do it at all, it would be way better for the climate. $1 trillion is 1,000 billion. Yeah, that's so many billions of dollars. There's just no way. No, you can't. I mean, you actually just cannot explain to me that something costs that much money. No way. No how. Nope. I don't believe it. The result is that the U.S. will generate more emissions from transport, already its largest, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, you have to essentially walk down this giant cliff of emissions that we're creating into the future, because once these highways are built, there's not really an easy way back from that. So just don't build them. Just don't build them. No more highways. No more. Don't even just stop. Don't even resurface, repave. Don't do anything. We're supposed to be getting rid of cars. Let's get rid of roads. Get rid of cars. Get rid of roads. Get rid of it all. The U.S.'s fixation with hulking roads, along with the growth of supersized cars that are responsible for about 40,000 deaths a year in accidents, a toll that has ticked up in recent years, has led to calls for a rethink. This month, around 200 climate, biking, and walkability groups called for a national moratorium on highway expansions due to the ills they bring. Exactly. But the roads, they bring progress. And, if you build the road, then you got to have a gas station. And then you have a gas station, you got to have a mini mart. And you got a mini mart, you got to have a Starbucks. And you got to have a Del Taco. And you got to have, right? You build the roads and the things come with it. It's all just a big development scheme, all of it. The highway system we have built in our country is unsustainable, both financially and environmentally, and disproportionately harms low-income and black and brown communities. There's little sign of improved fortunes for public transport. However, rail and bus services were badly hit during the COVID pandemic, with a lack of commuter revenue causing headaches for several city systems seeking to cover their basic operational costs. In Los Angeles, ridership or riders went down so much that they actually removed like full-size buses from routes, and they had these little minivans they called it the microbus. And they had the microbuses. They still have them. They have the microbuses driving around that can only hold, like 10 people. There's so few people riding the bus system. I mean, it's already true in LA anyways. I mean, it's actually a better idea, but because it's ridiculous to have this huge, gigantic bus driving around with like 2 people in it. It's just absolutely madness. Chad Miano says part of this conversation about highways expansion is the ever-growing population. Well, yeah. Which is why it doesn't really, the whole like, they're trying to kill you thing doesn't really make sense. They want the population to keep growing because they want more people to sell things to. If the population decreases, the economy goes down, period. That's just a mathematical fact. You can't keep the economy expanding without an expanding population. So the idea that like there's a depopulation agenda is just total it's just dumb stupidity. Now, they don't care if you live or you die because you're expendable and you're replaceable. As long as we can replace you with another human, that's fine. Or maybe we'll just keep you sick for like 20, 30 years so you can give us a reason to charge you, thousands of dollars in hospital fees. Oh, or let's just make it billions. Who knows what anything costs anymore? Your bill for this hospital visit, sir, $25 billion. But, I mean, that's also as about ridiculous as it gets too, right? Oh, that's $5,000. Well, let me see. The doctor walked in, slapped me around a couple times, gave me an aspirin. You charged me $5,000, right? Does it really cost $5,000 for something like that? It doesn't. Where's that $5,000 going? It's just another money laundering scheme. Everything is. The hospitals, everything is a money laundering scheme. It's all a money laundering scheme or a money siphoning scheme. Maybe not money laundering, but the same difference. Money siphoning. Anyways. Some jurisdictions, meanwhile, appear openly hostile to non-car options. Lawmakers in Indiana this week moved to ban dedicated bus lanes in Indianapolis, while officials in Miami Beach recently rejected a plan to extend a rail line to help alleviate congestion. Well, that'll be good for all the people out there driving their cars through flooded streets. It was also recently announced that the 2026 World Cup final will be held at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, a facility to which patrons are advised not to walk because the approaches are too dangerous because of cars. Yeah. All right. Well, that was informative. Oh, I appreciate that, Deebs. Deebs, yes. Like up, thumb up the video. Yeah, Deline, there are plenty of extra humans coming to take your place. Right. Okay. That does it for me, guys. Hope you all enjoyed the show. As you know, there are ways to support the show. All the links, direct donate links, and all that kind of good stuff are in the description box of any platform you're watching on. And I appreciate you all. Appreciate the support. I do. You can buy me coffees, you can cash out me, you can PayPal me, you can do all the things. You can support my music projects, kevinsandbloom.com. Right? All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And until next time, peace.